Josh's eyes widened as Emily and Ben burst through the park gate, their bright smiles and infectious laughter filling his heart. He'd always been drawn to children, and these two were no exception. As he knelt down to greet them, they flung their arms around him, and he felt an instant connection. "Hey there, little ones!" Josh exclaimed, his voice warm and gentle. Ben, the younger one, giggled and started to play with Josh's watch, fascinated by the ticking sound. Josh chuckled and let him explore, feeling a sense of wonder at the simple joys of childhood. As they played, Josh noticed the way the kids lit up around him. It was as if they sensed a kindred spirit, someone who spoke their language. And Josh knew in that moment, he was hooked. He wanted to be a part of their lives, to share in their laughter and adventures. As Josh played with Emily and Ben, he noticed a woman watching them from the sidelines. She was sitting on a bench, about 20 feet away, with a gentle smile on her face. Josh assumed she was their mother, keeping a watchful eye on her little ones. As the kids giggled and chased each other around, Josh couldn't help but glance over at their mother. She seemed lost in thought, her eyes fixed on her children with a mix of love and concern. As Josh approached Esther, he saw that she was even more beautiful up close. Her warm smile and piercing brown eyes made him feel at ease. "Hi," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Esther, their mom." Josh took her hand, feeling a spark of connection. "I'm Josh. It's great to meet you, Esther." Esther's eyes seemed to search his face, as if sizing him up. But then, she smiled, and Josh saw a glimmer of warmth. "Thanks for playing with the kids, Josh. They can be a handful sometimes." Josh laughed. "I enjoyed every minute of it. They're amazing kids." As they talked, Josh learned that Esther was a single mother, dedicating her life to raising Emily and Ben. He admired her strength and devotion, and she seemed to appreciate his genuine interest. "I'm so grateful for people like you, Josh," Esther said, her eyes shining with sincerity. "You have a gift with children. They adore you." Josh blushed, feeling a sense of pride and purpose. "I love spending time with them. They're so full of wonder and joy." Esther smiled, and they shared a moment of understanding. Josh sensed a connection beyond just a casual encounter. As they continued talking, Josh discovered they shared a passion for education and child development. Esther was a teacher, and Josh had always been fascinated by child psychology. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, like they'd known each other for years. Josh felt a sense of belonging, like he'd found a kindred spirit. As the sun began to set, Esther glanced at her watch. "I'm so sorry, Josh, but I should get the kids home. It's getting late." Josh nodded, feeling a pang of disappointment. He didn't want the afternoon to end. "Can I walk you home?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Esther hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "That would be nice. Thank you, Josh." As they strolled through the park, Josh knew he wanted to spend more time with Esther and the kids. He felt a sense of hope, like he'd found something special. As they walked home, Esther asked Josh about his interests and hobbies. Josh shared his passion for child development and education, and Esther's eyes lit up. "I'm a teacher," she said. "I love seeing children learn and grow." Josh's heart skipped a beat. "That's amazing," he said. "I've always admired teachers. You're shaping the next generation." Esther smiled, and they continued talking about their shared passion for education. As they approached Esther's house, Josh felt a sense of reluctance. He didn't want the afternoon to end. "Thanks for walking us home, Josh," Esther said, as they reached her front door. "I really appreciate it." Josh smiled. "No problem, I had a great time. Can I see the kids again sometime?" Esther hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I'd like that." Reached for his phone and gave him her number. Josh grinned, feeling a sense of hope. "Great, I'll talk to you soon." As they said their goodbyes, Josh couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement. Again. He knew he wanted to spend more time with Esther and the kids. Over the next few weeks, Josh spent more time with Emily and Ben, taking them on outings and playing with them in the park. Esther was always present, watching with a warm smile. Josh could sense her guard dropping, ever so slightly. One afternoon, as they sat on a bench watching the kids play, Esther turned to Josh and asked, "So, what do you do for a living?" Josh hesitated, unsure how much to share. But something about Esther's kind eyes put him at ease. "I'm a writer," he said. "I've always loved stories and words." Esther's eyes lit up. "That's amazing. I've always loved reading. What kind of things do you write?" Josh smiled, feeling a sense of connection. "I write children's books. I love creating stories that inspire and delight kids." Esther's face softened, and for a moment, Josh saw a glimmer of vulnerability. "That's beautiful," she said. "I'm sure your stories touch many hearts." As they talked, Josh realized he was falling for Esther, hard, but he knew he had to tread carefully, respecting her boundaries and fears. As the weeks turned into months, Josh and Esther's friendship blossomed. They would meet for coffee, go on walks, and explore the city together. Josh loved hearing about Esther's day, her hopes, and her dreams. He found himself feeling more and more comfortable around her. One evening, as they sat on a bench watching the sunset, Esther turned to Josh and said, "You know, I really appreciate your friendship. You've been so kind and understanding." Josh's heart skipped a beat. "I care about you, Esther," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "You and the kids mean a lot to me." Esther looked at him, her eyes searching. For a moment, Josh thought he saw a glimmer of something more. But then, she looked away, and the moment was gone. "I care about you too, Josh," she said, her voice soft. "But I'm not ready for anything more. Can we just enjoy each other's company for now?" Josh nodded, trying to hide his disappointment. "Of course, Esther. I understand." As they sat there in silence, Josh realized he had to be patient. He had to respect Esther's boundaries and fears. But he couldn't help feeling a sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, someday Esther would be ready to open her heart again. As the months passed, Josh and Esther's friendship continued to grow. They became inseparable, exploring the city and sharing their deepest thoughts and feelings. Josh knew he had fallen in love with Esther, but he respected her boundaries and didn't push for more. One day, Esther's past caught up with her. Her ex-husband, the father of her children, showed up unexpectedly, wanting to reconnect with the kids. Esther was devastated, feeling like her world was being turned upside down. Josh was there for her, offering a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on. He helped her navigate the complex emotions and legal issues that arose. As they worked through this challenging time together, Josh realized that his feelings for Esther had only deepened. He knew he wanted to be there for her, to support and protect her, for the rest of his life. But just as things were starting to settle down, another surprise emerged. Josh's book, the one he had been working on for years, was finally published. And it became a bestseller. Esther was overjoyed for him, but Josh couldn't shake off the feeling that his newfound success might change everything between them. As Josh's book soared to the top of the charts, he found himself thrust into the spotlight. Interviews, book signings, and speaking engagements filled his calendar. Esther and the kids were his rock, supporting him every step of the way, but with fame came new challenges. Josh struggled to balance his writing, his relationships, and his newfound celebrity status. He felt like he was losing himself in the process. Esther, sensing his turmoil, sat him down for a heart-to-heart talk. "Josh, you're not just a writer or a celebrity. You're a kind, caring person who makes a difference in people's lives. Don't lose sight of that." Josh took a deep breath, feeling a sense of clarity wash over him. "You're right, Esther. I need to stay grounded. I need you and the kids in my life." Esther smiled, her eyes shining with love. "We're not going anywhere, Josh. We're in this together." As they hugged, Josh knew he had found his soulmate in Esther. He realized that he didn't have to choose between his writing and his relationships. He could have both, as long as he had Esther by his side. As Josh's career continued to soar, he and Esther's relationship blossomed. They would spend hours talking, laughing, and exploring the city together. Josh had never felt this way about anyone before, and he knew he wanted to spend the rest of his life with Esther. One evening, as they sat on a bench watching the sunset, Josh took Esther's hand and told her how he felt. "Esther, from the moment I met you and the kids, I knew you were special. I love you, and I want to be with you forever." Esther's heart skipped a beat. No one had ever made her feel so loved and accepted before. She looked into Josh's eyes and saw the sincerity there. "I love you too, Josh," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Josh's heart soared as he pulled Esther into a gentle kiss. The world around them melted away, leaving only the two of them, lost in their love. As they pulled back, Josh smiled and said, "I want to spend the rest of my life making you and the kids happy. Will you marry me?" Tears of joy streaming down her face, Esther nodded. "Yes, yes, a million times yes." Josh's family, though loving and supportive, expressed concerns about his relationship with Esther. "Josh, we love you, but are you sure you're ready for this?" his mother asked. "Esther has 2 kids, and they're not yours. It's a big responsibility." Josh's father added, "And what about having your own children? You deserve to experience that." Josh felt torn. He loved Esther and the kids, but he knew his family's concerns came from a place of love. "Mom, Dad, I understand your worries, but I love Esther and the kids. I want to be a part of their lives. And who says we can't have more kids in the future?" But his family's doubts lingered, creating tension in their relationship. As Josh and Esther's wedding day approached, Josh's family still hadn't come around to the idea of him marrying a woman with kids. They barely spoke to Esther, and the tension was palpable. Esther, sensing the strain, tried to reassure Josh. "We'll get through this, Josh. Our love is strong enough." But Josh felt caught in the middle, wanting to please his family while following his heart. On the eve of the wedding, Josh's father sat him down for a heart-to-heart talk. "Josh, we just want what's best for you. Are you sure Esther is the one?" Josh took a deep breath and replied, "Dad, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Esther and the kids make me happy. Please support us." His father nodded slowly, a small smile on his face. "Okay, son. We'll try." The next day, Josh's family put aside their doubts and celebrated Josh and Esther's love. As they exchanged vows, Josh knew he'd made the right choice. Esther had been feeling off for weeks, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. She was tired, emotional, and her senses seemed heightened. She brushed it off as stress, but Josh noticed a change in her too. "Hey, is everything okay? You seem a little different," Josh asked, concern etched on his face. Esther shrugged, "I don't know, I just feel off, like pregnancy." Josh's eyes lit up. "Could you be?" Esther's eyes widened. "No, I don't think so. I mean, we've been trying, but..." Josh rushed out to the pharmacy and returned with a pregnancy test. "Take this, just to rule it out." Esther's hands trembled as she took the test. They waited in silence, watching the clock tick down. The results showed 2 pink lines. Esther's eyes welled up with tears. "I'm pregnant." Josh swept her into a tight hug. "We're having a baby." Esther burst into singing, "I know my God, I know my God." Esther's pregnancy journey was a whirlwind of emotions, from joy to anxiety. Josh was her rock, supporting her every step of the way. As they approached the due date, they couldn't wait to meet their little one. On the day of delivery, Esther's nerves were on edge. Josh held her hand, whispering words of encouragement as the contractions intensified. "It's time to push," the doctor announced. Esther took a deep breath, and with one final push, their baby was born. But the doctor's expression was puzzled. "What's wrong?" Josh asked, concern etched on his face. The doctor smiled. "There's another one." Esther's eyes widened in shock as the doctor held up their second baby. "Twins?" Josh exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down his face. Esther burst into tears, overwhelmed with emotion. "We're having twins?" As they gazed at their 2 little miracles, Ava and Max, their hearts overflowed with love and gratitude. The room erupted in cheers and tears as Josh and Esther embraced, their love stronger than ever. "I'm so grateful for this surprise," Esther whispered, her voice trembling. "Me too," Josh replied, his voice filled with emotion. "Our little family is complete." The end is a photo shoot of all the family members, including the twins. If you watched till now, you're the reason we make videos. Please watch the next and previous episodes, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. FON Media, storytelling at its peak.